everyone, this is Sifu Thommy together with Sifu Ken again. Today we would like to talk to you about the so-called 3 pairs. What do I mean by that? Well, we have techniques that occur on the top, on the bottom, at the outside or at the inside of our arms whenever we present our guards, and this is exactly what we want to talk about today. In order to explain to you what I mean by the 3 pairs, first of all let me explain to you our Manso Wuso position, our pre-fight position. We build it by aligning our wrist, elbow and shoulder, and then we bring the elbow down in a relatively low position until we have a 135-degree angle here and here. We need this position. I see way too many people stand like this, and I can clearly see they have no idea about the structure of that Manso arm, that seeking hand. So this is the position that you have here, and then we bring the rear hand, regardless if it is this one or that one, back along a straight line, but you want to make sure that you do not put it over here so the person can reach over and grab and lock you up. So you want to make sure that you have the arms positioned like this, and then what you can see here is there's a triangle going from the tip of the forefingers all the way to along the fingers here all the way up to my head and down here. So the triangle goes like this, and there's another triangle that you can see here. So it's like the top of the front of an icebreaker of a boat that's going through ice, for example. So you have that idea of a wedge of a triangle here. Now, from here, if I remove one hand, then obviously there's an inside, there's an outside, you have space below and above the hand, and this is where our drill kicks in. So the exercise that we will show you right now is a bit more advanced, so if this is your first Wing Chun lesson, it's probably not for you, but if you have practiced for a while and you're familiar with the most basic techniques of Wing Chun, then this is definitely something that can enrich your training. The first movements that we work, or the first pattern that we have, is that we work with the outside of the arm and either receive pressure toward my elbow, which would mean in reality he hits me to the side of the throat, or toward my wrist, which would mean he would hit me to the throat over here. Okay, so it would either be slightly off or straight. Now, whenever I feel that he's pushing slightly off, this builds my hand into a tonsil, the way that we have it in the first set of the Sifu towel form, and then we can practice this for a while. You want to make sure that at all times you have forward pressure, so if he should drop his arm at a given moment, you always jump forward. So my arm is like a steel spring, so if you release, this is what happens. And not just the arm. Now, he pushes my wrist, my elbow, my shoulder, my chest, my hip, my knees, my ankles. All of this is being under pressure right now, so if he lets go, wham, then I can actually use ground reaction force to bring a lot of force into his body. So this will be the tonsil. If he should apply pressure to my wrist, I use a bongsel. And once again, you have the same bongsel that we have in the 7th set of the Sifu towel form. So all the techniques that you see here, you can find them in the form. And then we learn how to differentiate. Sometimes he applies a bongsel pressure, sometimes he applies a tonsil pressure, and I just have to adapt accordingly. Now, this will be the first exercise, going to tonsil and then going to bongsel. Then, obviously, he can also strike up to my head, which will make my arm go into a straight punch. We have this in the Chankyu form, where we come in with a rising punch. So he pushes up, my Manso goes into a punch. Or he drops the hand and hits me to the groin, and this will get me into a Ganso. Exactly the way that we do it in the first set of the Sifu towel. So you can practice to either go up or go down. Or go up or go down. If he should decide at any given moment to take a step in as well, then that's totally fine. You can always apply these movements, whether it be the wedge over here, or if you go low, it would be the Ganso over here, in combination with a turn. Obviously, you still have this hand, which later in a realistic scenario will give him help, but for now, it's just an exercise for feeling. So, what we have right now is pressure is being applied to the elbow. The result is tonsil. Pressure is being applied to the wrist, and the result is bongsel. Then the guy goes up, I go into my wedge, into my raising punch, and the guy goes down, I go into my Ganso. Now let's take a look at what happens if he applies pressure towards the inside of my arm. Now, just like in tonsil and bongsel, we can also get contact with the opponent's arm at the wrist and at the elbow, but at the inside of my hand. So if I should get in contact with his hand here and he applies pressure forward, then I use a Jansao, a sinking hand. Now if he does not take a step, then I just absorb and go backward. I don't push against him. If I push against him, he's stronger than me, obviously he's going to throw me over. So I want to absorb his force by pulling down toward me. Now a lot of people say, and this takes us into the topic of Dan Sao, a lot of people say, but when you push down, then he can go around and hit you there. Yes, that's correct, but that's exactly what I want. The idea is to create an opening quickly so I can counter, or if he should be fast enough to go around, to practice my tanso here. And this will put me into the active position where I'm actually the attacker, then he's the attacker, then I'm the attacker, then he's the attacker, and so on. But back to our exercise. So I get contact here, and if he doesn't step, then I just sink my janso. If he should apply a step, then I would push myself off the guy a little bit. And I would push myself off by applying forward pressure, as we always do. If his pressure should go toward my wrist, my elbow, however, I would raise that wrist slightly, which would put me into kaosao, the blocking hand, and from here I could apply a lot of force there, or just cover if I like. So pressure towards the elbow results in kaosao and in a cover, or in kaosao and a strike to the throat, or in kaosao and a strike to the head. But in order to bring this back into the pattern that we were working on, we just get in contact here, he pushes forward or he pushes slightly off, or he pushes forward and slightly off, so that you can practice those core techniques. So right now you have all of them. You have 1, kaosao, 2, jamsao, then we go to the outside. Here we have tansao or bongsao, and we have the wedge, and we have the gansao. And these are the pairs that you can train. You can train them either with a parallel arm or with a diagonal arm. It's not so easy to train kaosao and jump. Well, it is possible. To train kaosao, when you're over here, a lot of people like to get stuck here and then they lift their elbow up. I would recommend to apply a little bit more pressure on the wrist so that the guy does not hook you over here at the elbow. So not just lift it up, because then he will have you here, but to actually apply more pressure on the wrist and then cover with a fokusao. Or he comes in with a straight punch and then you do it here. Now, should he be on the outside, then this would result in either a tansao or a bongsao. Should he go up, I go into the wedge. Should he go down, he would push me into a gansao. Have fun practicing this, and we'll see you in the next video.